Welcome back to another episode of Great Minds Think Alike. I'm Gabby.
And I'm Nick.
And we are so excited to bring episode 6 to you.
Yeah, so funny, when we were putting this together, I thought that this was a little different of an episode. And, I'll let you viewers say if you believe it is or not.
So for our business topic today, we're going to be talking about food expenses because you can't avoid them. Yep. We're going to be talking in our lifestyle segment about getting out of your comfort zone. And then we're going to be talking about adjusting to the new real estate norms.
Yep, juicy topics.
All right, so let's get into it.
Let's jump right in. So we're going to start with the business segment today, which is food expenses. And the reason why I like this one so much is because this is an expense you can't avoid. When you're budgeting or talking finance with people, they always have the excuse, oh, I don't do that. Oh, I don't eat out. Oh, I don't go out and drink. Oh, I don't have subscriptions. Well, guess what? You have food.
Everybody eats.
You have to buy food. So this segment will be important for everybody. So listen up.
Yeah.
Right? So, totally unignorable and you can't avoid it.
And you have a choice of where you want to spend your food money, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Exactly, because this is one of the things that can make or break you. Before you start tracking how much you were spending for food, did you know at all?
No, and it was astronomical. I would just be willy-nilly going out to dinner, spending $200 here and there. And bar food that's another story.
Yeah, so ignoring food financial literacy, that's something that can make or break you. You could be doing everything else right, but if you're not tracking what you're spending on food, it can really put you under.
And again, it's unavoidable, but you have a choice in where you're going to spend the money for your food.
Exactly. It adds up, and the best thing you can do is be conscious of it and try to plan out how much you're spending on food each week. Take a look at your budget, your income, your expenses, your bills, and come up with a realistic number on how much you have each week for food. And don't go over it, right?
I genuinely don't know how people eat out every single day. We're talking about the money aspect here, but nutritionally wise too. So we want to talk about getting groceries and kind of just a DoorDash versus pickup scenario that we just experienced this past weekend.
The trigger term for me, DoorDash. Now, not just DoorDash. I'm talking about DoorDash. I'm talking about Uber Eats.
We're boycotting and coming for all of you.
I'm Drake out here. I'm coming for every one of you. All you apps there. I don't care what you call yourself. Grub Eats, Hub, Food, Uber, DoorDash. You're all criminals. You're crooks. It's theft. And I'm passionate about
They are
this.
just sneaky putting in all these expenses, and you don't realize unless you compare to the original restaurant menu. Yeah. It is actually crazy.
So, Gab, let's talk about what happened to us just this weekend. This is a real story with real numbers. I'm not making any of this up. Gabby's not making any of this up. This is literally while we were ordering food, we were writing down the episode ideas.
So triggered. So this past Friday, we were trying to go to a burger place. I was feeling a little lazy, and we were going to check out DoorDash. For example, calling you out specifically, Didi.
We just wanted to see what it would cost. Hey, maybe we'll do it this time.
So we were looking at the restaurant's menu while looking at DoorDash, and they just slip in these little prices. And for DoorDash specifically, I'm sure every other platform has a different, added expense. But for DoorDash specifically, they added $3.70 per item. So that is per item.
I just want to emphasize.
So we got three things, and they're going to add $3.70 times 3 right there. That's before the delivery tip. That's before the service fee. That's before whatever else they add in.
So everyone universally knows that these apps are a ripoff because of the fees. You have these random service fees that are $10, delivery fee, then the taxes and tip and all that. What most people don't realize is that every single item on the menu is more expensive on the app than at the store.
Yep.
So let's just dive into a little bit of specifics. Gab said it was around $4, $3.70, a little under it. We ordered a chicken sandwich. It was $10 on their menu. It was just under $14 on the app. We wanted to order 12 wings, split them. On the menu, the wings were $18. On the app, it was $24 for the same amount of wings.
So I guess that they break their wings up into 6 and 6. So because it was 12 wings, they're oh, that's 2 separate items. And that's what was so crazy to me. A $7 difference from just calling the restaurant to getting it on DoorDash is fucking ridiculous.
All right, so here's the big bring it home moment, the final prices. So when we checked out on the DoorDash app with all the fees, the inflated menu prices, $5 tip, the total came out to $55.
Yep.
So now when we called them up and placed the order to pick it up, our total was $30.
30.
30 compared to 55. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but this is a 83% increase. That number will stick. Right?
If it was $5 more, or if I went with the tip that DoorDash suggested for me, it would have been
Even
actually
more.
double.
Yep. So with a $5 tip, there was an 83% increase in the final price getting it delivered compared to go pick it up. Screw you, DoorDash. Screw you, Uber Eats, Grubhub, all of you. I'm done with you.
So that little rant just brings us to, that is probably like the most expensive route you could take here. And if there's an option to do pickup from the restaurant, please do that. Just save yourself. I mean, that also includes being sober, because I know that like the big thing here is like the drunk eats at night.
Yes,
so
don't drink and drive.
that's
try
the
$15
there is not worth it. But
pick it up. If you're drunk, call them. See if there's any other delivery service. If a friend can bring it, if you can walk there. But if absolutely not, then of course order it. But don't make a habit of it.
Yes, exactly. So then next we want to just talk about like some meal prepping services too, because there's like Factor, HelloFresh. There's a bunch of different
there's tons of different ways.
A bunch of different like brands that you can use to help prepare those meals that you need, right? So from there, those help save you time.
Yep. So when it comes down to the more affordable options, we touch base on how the DoorDash deliveries are right? Mm-hmm. The most affordable of them all is buying groceries. Yeah. It will always be that way. It's so important to buy groceries, prep your meals. Now, what Gab and I want to introduce is kind of the idea of a mixture between groceries that you purchase at the store and then maybe some of these prepaid meal prep meals.
Yeah.
Now, this completely depends on your situation. It depends on how much money and time you have. If you're someone who has a lot of time but not a lot of disposable money for the food, you may want to be 100% grocery and then, eating out 1 or 2 days a week.
And you can meal prep your groceries, obviously. Like, our excuse for not doing that is that we don't have a grill.
Yeah.
But if you have whatever. I mean, you can easily make it happen just by baking whatever, but...
Exactly. Now, let's say you're someone who has no time. You're busy at work, kids, school, and it may be helpful to say, hey, maybe 6 or 8 of my meals for the week is going to come from one of these food delivery services, and then I'll make the remainder from the grocery trip. Now, this is slightly more expensive, right? Because these delivery services, one, they deliver, they cook the meals for you and it's healthy, so there is a premium to that, but it's still miles cheaper than the food delivery apps. And we think that in conjunction with groceries, if you can find the healthy mix and balance for what works for you between getting some pre-made meals and getting groceries, that's the most cost-efficient way to go about it.
1000%. And we just want to also point out, eat your freaking leftovers, because that's so wasteful. And it's like, that's, if you're taking and breaking down the costs from grocery stores, that's a part of your expenses. And it's like, it's literally throwing money down the drain and wasting food while people don't have them.
Exactly. We eat every leftover that's left in our fridge, right? It's just, you make a steak or you make chicken and something, have it for lunch the next day. You save money there, right? It's so important too. So, takeaways from this section: screw the delivery services of DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of that. You want to buy your groceries and find the balance between cooking and throwing in some pre-prep meals from these respectable companies that don't overcharge you for healthy meals.
And another way you can incorporate balance into this is just scheduling when you're going to cook for yourself and when you're going to eat out, because eating out has also become like a social thing. That's just the thing to do.
You got to do it a little bit.
I don't know if that's just my late 20s speaking, but that is the thing to do. I feel like everyone gets together by going to restaurants. Like, that's how families get together, friends. I mean, and it can get costly.
It's unavoidable.
So just balance of when you're going to do that.
Yeah, totally unavoidable, and it's going to happen. You just have to know, okay, I'm eating out on Friday. I'm going to spend a lot of money. I need to maybe prep more meals this week myself. It's all about finding that balance.
Now I want to get into our lifestyle topic, and I just really want to discuss the comfort zone and how it will kill you. So your comfort zone is just a false sense of security. That is not how you want to live your life, and it's just really hindering your full potential.
Mm-hmm. The comfort zone is the enemy of progress. I'll say that.
So you have to choose your hard, because being uncomfortable and taking on new risks, taking on a new business, taking on whatever, because this getting out of your comfort zone, it applies to all aspects of your life here. So yes, that's going to be hard, but so is getting your dream life. And staying complacent is hard too.
Yeah, no, I love that choose your hard. So I think about that every day, right? With when I don't feel like doing things for bettering myself, I'm like the other option's harder. And I'll dive into that, right? So for example, one with fitness and health. It is so hard to get up early in the morning before work and lift weights or run and work out. It's so difficult to make the decision to eat something healthier, to prep your meals, to be conscious. But Gab, you know what's harder? Waking up obese every morning and not being able to get out of bed, running out of energy, walking down the block. You know what else is hard? Not being able to play sports with your kids because you're so overweight, you can't keep up with them. Paying for that gym membership is hard, $100 a month. You know what's even harder? The hospital bill because your arteries are clogged, because you're out of shape. So pick your hard, because one thing's difficult in the moment with the reward. The other thing, you're living in the hard 24/7 and it never goes away.
And I just want to say one thing about this podcast. We are never going to take the instant gratification route. And that's what I feel like a lot of people are just accustomed to in this generation. So yes, the scale of being unhappy or being uncomfortable, they're both freaking hard. But being complacent and staying unhappy, that's not where you want to be. That you're going to have the same results, same miserable outcome if you keep that mindset. If you just haven't made any changes here with being unhappy, there you go, no changes are as the result. What you can do to combat that uncomfy feeling is just work through those, feelings of self-doubt, work through all those feelings of projection, complacency, and just work through that. Keep pushing. That's what's going to get you up to your next level self.
Yeah, get comfortable being uncomfortable. When
It's
you're
hard,
uncomfortable, you may feel weird at first, but eventually you might get excited about being comfortable.
Both are so hard. It's just, I don't want to live in a life where I'm going to stay in the same spot.
Exactly. And it's picking your heart, I just can't get over that. Same with financials. Like, yeah, it's super hard to make a budget. It's super hard to stick with it and only spend a certain amount of money anywhere. But you know what's even harder? Being in debt. Waking up in the morning and knowing that you have, tons of debt weighing over you, not being able to own a house or get a new car, not being able to send your kids to college because you're in debt. That's 10 times harder than it is to be strict with your budget and to make sure you save. I guarantee it.
So there's going to be a transition period when you're like going through this discomfort. And my advice to that is just keep pushing, because you might be so close and not even know it. And if you give up in that moment, you'll never know.
Yeah, what's that picture in the internet? The guy going for the diamonds and
it's like
the
right
one guy
there.
quits when he's right there.
I mean, there's so many analogies of this, but like this is really where you're going to be extra vulnerable and susceptible to any old habits or ways that you used to be. And there's going to be little tests from God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, but there's going to be tests in life to see if you're going to go back to these things.
The world will try to shove you back to your comfort
zone.
If
you go back, you're pushing yourself all the way back.
Yeah, and I mean, if it does happen, don't beat yourself up on it, right? Just get back and keep moving, because humans, we are creatures of habit. It's true. We revert back to what's comfortable. We like habit. We like the known. We don't like the unknown. But the problem is growth happens when you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So whatever you do during this transitional phase when you're more vulnerable, block out the outside noise, block out the inside noise, and keep pushing forward. Remember why you started. Remember those feelings inside, the unhappiness you had that made you start every time you want to go back to the comfort of the unhappiness that you were before.
Yeah, and then you're gonna find that out again. It's gonna be revisited, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's why I was doing that. And if you had just stayed consistent, you would have saved yourself a lot of time.
Exactly.
But again, give yourself grace with that. It's it is a journey for a reason, and nothing is linear here. It's gonna be like this. So just make sure that yes, you're giving yourself grace, but just take accountability here, because you don't want to go back into these old habits for a reason. So the biggest thing, pursue this discomfort. You're going to be able to propel your dreams this way. And then just another strategy here too, put pen to paper. What are little steps that I could take every day to get to this goal of mine or get to this new self of mine that I want to be? So we want to get you out of your comfort zone. But with real estate, you do need to get comfortable with these high home prices, because they're here to stay, unfortunately.
Clever. Get out of your comfort zone, but get comfortable with the new norms in real estate. Listen, it's no denying that home prices are way higher than they were a few years ago, that it's incredibly more difficult to purchase right now, right? And a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm waiting for the prices to come down. I'm waiting for the prices to come down. Well, here's the truth serum here. You're going to be waiting a long time. because the reason that prices are so high is a lack of inventory. The whole reason things are staying high is because of a lack of inventory. It's the most basic supply and demand. A lot of demand, little supply, right? No houses for sale.
So we're going to sound like a broken record because I know we keep talking about this lack of inventory, but it is so important.
So I understand it is more difficult to buy right now. And for a lot of you, you may not be able to right now. So I want to reiterate the advice here is not just to buy no matter what. If it's too much for you, it's too much. What you should do is you need to sit down and go over your finances with a professional, a loan officer, someone like myself, and see if purchasing is in your wheelhouse or not.
Yeah. And the biggest thing with that too, like what you just said, it's harder times right now, but like with dealing with these new norms, I keep hearing people like, oh, I'm never going to buy a house. And we've said it before, but like that is the problem right now that we're seeing in real estate. And we so desperately want to change this mindset. And like you said, find a plan because it is doable, but you're not going to be able to get there if you don't take those small steps first to get there.
And we're here to help. So maybe with prices and rates right now, it's not in your best interest to buy at the moment. But like Gab said, at least have a plan. The main point we're getting at, though, is let's say you sit down with a loan officer and you can afford it financially. A house is something you can buy and be decently comfortable enough. It's still an excellent investment, and you still should because these prices aren't going down anytime soon.
Yeah.
And, not to bring more stories in from my career, but I've had buyers tell me back in 2022, oh, that's when prices were already going up for a year. Oh, things are inflated. I'm going to wait for them to go down. I want to wait for them to go down. Well, 2 more years have passed, and things have only, gone up exponentially since then. So, keep on waiting, and you'll just keep on waiting.
We can only predict. We can't tell the future of what the market's going to look like. Again, that's another thing that's up and down. And at the end of the day, you can just put your best foot forward, and this is the now. You can always refinance later on when the rates drop. But this is something that, is here to stay for a bit.
Exactly. Until there's a solution for the inventory or lack thereof.
Yeah.
These prices are going to stick. And, this is my opinion. It's going to take something massive to add the inventory quickly, right? It's either going to be a very slow process or you need something crazy to happen like, COVID, where rates drop to 3 and everyone lists their house, right?
Yeah.
So something like that is not likely to happen. So, get used to the prices now. Find out if you can buy right now. If not, what do you have to do to get there? If you can, it's probably a good idea to get in before prices edge up more.
Start building that equity if you can.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye.